Ladies, before the world told you who you were supposed to be, you already were. Before society placed its labels, its limits, and its lies upon your worth, your soul already carried royalty. But somewhere along the way, too many of you were taught to shrink, to apologize for being powerful, to compromise what was sacred inside of you, just to be accepted. So today, I want you to hear me with your heart, not just your ears, because they're not for love, not for approval, not even for peace. Because once you lose these, you don't just lose a battle, you start losing yourself. Let's talk about them. 1. Never surrender your intuition. There is a knowing inside you that has never needed to be taught. It whispers before the mind can speak. It senses before evidence appears. It is older than your name, wiser than your education, and more loyal to your truths than any voice outside of you. This is your intuition, sacred, sovereign, and divine. As a woman, it was gifted to you not as an accessory, but as armor. Not as a soft poetic sword, but as a built-in compass, forged through the struggles of your lineage and carried in the marrow of your bones. And yet, somehow, in this modern world, you were conditioned to ignore it. You were told that logic is superior, that data, facts, and confirmation matter more than a silent knowing, that if you cannot explain it, you must not trust it. How many times did your spirit whisper, "Leave," but you stayed? How many moments did your heart scream, "Something isn't right," but you smiled and played along? How many times did you feel a shift in the energy of a room, the look in someone's eyes, the tension behind their words, and still silence the alarm inside your chest? Let me tell you something real. Intuition does not come to prove, it comes to protect. It will not give you a 5-paragraph explanation. It will not always give you a why. It simply offers a nudge, a tightness in your stomach, a chill down your spine, a sudden heaviness you can't quite place. And that is enough. You don't need to explain why the energy feels wrong. You don't need permission to listen to what your soul already knows. Because every time you betray your intuition, you abandon the one voice that has never lied to you. Think back. How many heartbreaks, betrayals, disappointments, and wasted years could have been avoided if you had just trusted that first feeling, that initial spark of discomfort, the uneasy pause before the decision. There wasn't fear, there wasn't insecurity, there wasn't overthinker. And when you ignore her long enough, she grows quiet. Not because she's and in that silence, you become vulnerable to things that were never meant for you. This world is loud. Everyone has an opinion. Friends, lovers, mentors, the media. Everybody wants to guide your life. But none of them live inside your body. None of them feel what you feel, carry what you carry, or dream what you dream. So why would you silence the only guide that truly knows you? You see, intuition isn't about paranoia. It's not about fear. It's about connection. The more connected you are to yourself, your breath, your body, your stillness, the louder your intuition becomes. When you slow down and listen, when you sit in solitude instead of seeking validation, you begin to hear the quiet wisdom that has always been there. The world may call it sensitivity, they may call it being too emotional or too intense, but don't let their labels become your limitations. What they see as excess is your exact brilliance. And you must protect this brilliance. Don't explain it. Don't apologize for it. Don't dilute it to make others feel more comfortable. If a situation, a person, or an opportunity doesn't feel aligned, you don't owe anyone an explanation for stepping away. Intuition doesn't always need proof. What it needs is obedience. What it needs is your trust, because when you honor your intuition, you are honoring your lineage, your healing, your power, your future. There is no amount of logic that can match the sacred clarity of a woman in tune with herself. And when your intuition speaks again, and it will, may you have the courage to stop, listen, and walk away from anything that makes your soul whisper, "This isn't it." Let's continue. 2. Never surrender your standards. There is a quiet erosion that happens when a woman lowers her standards. Not all at once, but piece by piece. One day she tolerates a lie because everyone makes mistakes. The next she accepts inconsistency because nobody's perfect. Soon she finds herself giving passes, making excuses, justifying red flags, and calling it love, or loyalty, or maturity. But let's tell the truth here. Every time you let something slide that cuts against your values, every time you allow someone to stay who disrespects your peace, every time you say it's okay when it clearly is not, you are not being kind, you're betraying yourself, you're not showing grace, you're teaching the world how to mistreat you. And the more lower your standards for others, the more you silence the voice that says, "I deserve more." You were not born to be someone's option, backup plan, or emotional punching bag. Your presence is a privilege, not a convenience. And your time, your love, your energy, they are not free samples for people to taste and toss. They are sacred offerings, and they must be earned. Your standards are not walls to keep people out, they are doors to let the right ones in. The ones who don't just tolerate your strength, but celebrate it. The ones who see your light and don't feel threatened by it. The ones who understand that your no is not an insult. It's a boundary, a declaration that you value yourself too much to settle for scraps. But here's the problem. Society has conditioned too many women to believe that having standards means being difficult, that asking for respect means being too much, that expecting effort, consistency, or communication means you're hard to love. So some women, out of fear of being alone, shrink. They water themselves down to become more palatable. They pretend they don't care when they're dying inside. They act like silence is peace when it's actually self-abandonment. And eventually they forget what they even stood for in the first place. But let me remind you, there is nothing wrong with expecting the same energy you give. There is nothing unreasonable about refusing to beg for bare minimum treatment. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with requiring that people rise to meet you where you stand. You don't have to compromise your standards to keep people from leaving. If someone walks away because you demanded respect, effort, and integrity, they were never meant to stay. The real ones won't be intimidated by your strength, they'll be inspired by it. And the more you start attracting people, opportunities, and environments that align with the version of you that is healed, whole, and no longer willing to negotiate with her peace. And yes, it can be lonely sometimes. Holding your standards in a world that rewards compromise can feel isolating. But that solitude is not a punishment, it's a purification. It's the sacred space where you get to detox from everything that was never meant for you in the first place. It's the season where you're being prepared for what's real, because what's real will not ask you to be less. It will not test your patience every week. It will not ignore your needs. What's real will feel safe, not stressful. It will feel consistent, not confusing. And it will feel like home, not a battlefield. So from this moment forward, let your standards be your shield. Let them filter out what's false. Let them guide you away from the temporary and toward the timeless. And don't ever apologize for raising the bar. The right ones will never ask you to lower it. The right ones will rise up to meet it. Now let's talk about another thing the world wants you to give up, but you must not. Your voice. 3. Never surrender your voice. There is something sacred about a woman who knows how to use her voice. Not to please, not to perform, but to proclaim. Your voice is not just a sound. It is your signature. It carries your convictions, your dreams, your fears, your truths. And yet from the time many of you were young, you were taught to shrink that power, to speak only when spoken to. You were praised for being agreeable. You were rewarded for being silent. Somewhere between girlhood and adulthood, the world conditioned you to believe that your voice was only valuable when it was soft, sweet, and small. But let me tell you something. Your voice was never meant to be a whisper. It was meant to echo through rooms where truth has been hiding. It was meant to cut through noise, to restore justice, to build boundaries, and to tell the world, this is who I am, and this is what I will no longer accept. Silence is not always noble. Sometimes it's survival. And survival isn't living, it's just enduring. When you hold your tongue to avoid conflict, when you're not in agreement just to keep the peace, when you say, I'm fine, with a heart full of rage, you aren't being strong, you're swallowing your truth. And the more you swallow, the more bitter it becomes. Unspoken pain turns into resentment, and unvoiced boundaries turn into broken hearts. The moment you silence your truth to make someone else comfortable, you teach yourself that your voice doesn't matter, that your story is important, that your discomfort is the price you must pay to be loved or accepted. But that is a lie, and it's one you don't have to keep living. Your voice is the first tool of your freedom. It is how you say no when everything in your body wants to scream. It is how you name what you need without guilt. It is how you challenge disrespect, how you ask for more, how you say, I deserve better. It's not about being loud. It's about being clear. You don't have to shout to be powerful. You don't need to win every argument. But you do need to stop abandoning your truth in rooms that expect you to be less than you are. You need to stop playing small to make others feel big. Because when you mute your voice to protect someone's ego, you destroy the foundation of your self-worth. And yes, it may be uncomfortable at first. Your hands might shake the first time you set a boundary. Your voice may crack the first time you say, that's not okay. People might label you as difficult. They might distance themselves. Let them, because what you lose in false approval, you gain in radical alignment. You begin to feel whole again. You begin to walk with a certain kind of peace that only comes from being honest. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of a woman who finds her voice. When one woman speaks her truth, she gives permission to others to do the same. Your voice becomes a torch in the dark for someone else who has been living in silence. You start rewriting stories that were buried in shame. You start rewriting stories that were buried in shame. You start becoming the kind of woman who doesn't just exist in the world, but who changes it. So speak alert, uncertain, unpolished, unfiltered, if you must, but speak. Speak about your dreams even when they seem too big. Speak your limits even when they disappoint others. Speak your story even if your voice shakes. Because the cost of silence is far too high and the world needs your fire. Not your edited version, not your watered down truths. The real you, unchained and unapologetic. And now let's go deeper. And let's talk about the one thing many women lose slowly without even realizing it. The sense of self. No woman should ever surrender her identity. For never surrenders your identity. Somewhere between expectations and survival. Between being everything for everyone and never enough for yourself. Many women begin to forget who they are. Not all at once, but gradually, quietly, invisibly. A piece here, a piece there. You adjust your layers because someone said it was too loud. You change your hairstyle because he liked it a different way. You stop talking about your dreams because the people around you didn't believe in them. And before you even realize it, you've become a stranger to your own reflection. That radiant, raw, unfiltered version of you. The one who danced without fear, who spoke without hesitation, who imagined life with open arms and a full heart. She becomes a memory. And in her place, stands a version built for acceptance, polished, palatable, edited, but never truly you. Let me say this plainly. You were not born to be a supporting character in someone else's script. You are not here to blend in. You are not a background prop in a world that thrives off conformity. Your identity, your quirks, your passions, your heritage, your pain, your strength is sacred. And sacred things should be protected, not sacrificed. The world will try to mold you. Culture will try to define you. Relationships will try to own you. But your soul was never designed to wear a mask, just to be loved. Because if love demands that you change the essence of who you are, it's not love. It's control dressed up as affection. And it starts subtly. The job that demands you dim your light to fit into a cold corporate box. The friendship that thrives only when you are small and agreeable. The partner who praises your beauty but fears your ambition. Each time you compromise your identity for the comfort of others, you chip away at your selfhood, and soon your life becomes a performance. You wake up wearing a smile that doesn't belong to you. You move through the day fulfilling roles instead of living truth. And late at night, you lie awake wondering why you feel so disconnected. It's because you've abandoned your original blueprint. But you can come home to yourself. You must come home to yourself. That version of you who loved freely, who believed wildly, who dreamed boldly. She's still in there. She's waiting for your permission to rise again. And it begins with small acts of rebellion. Saying no when you're expected to say yes. Dressing for your soul instead of someone's gaze. Creating art. Writing words. Living stories that reflect your narrative, not one that was handed to you by tradition, trauma, or the need to be liked. Reclaiming your identity doesn't mean rejecting connection. It means creating relationships that respect who you truly are. It means drawing lines around your authenticity and saying, "This is me, take it or leave it. But I will not edit myself for your comfort. You're not too loud, you're not too quiet, you're not too intense or too soft. You are just right for the life you were born to live." And if that means you walk alone for a while, so be it. Solitude in truth is far better than companionship in disguise. When a woman reclaims her identity, she becomes unstoppable. Not because she has something to prove, but because she has nothing left to hide. She becomes magnetic, not for what she pretends to be, but for the deep, grounded power of being fully herself. She doesn't chase validation, she doesn't seek approval, she doesn't water down her ideas, her culture, her fire. She walks into every room, carrying the weight of her story with pride. And whether the room applauds or recoils is no longer her concern. Because your identity is not negotiable, not for love, not for belonging, not for peace. The moment you sacrifice who you are to keep someone beside you, you lose both them and yourself. And one day you wake up and realize the worst kind of loneliness is not being without others. It's being disconnected from your own soul. But you don't have to live that way. You can return, you can remember, you can rebuild. And once you do, once you stand firmly in your name, your nature, your truth, there's only one more thing you must protect to remain whole: your peace. 5. Never surrender your peace. There's a kind of wealth that doesn't show up in your bank account. It doesn't sparkle on your wrist. It doesn't make noise when you walk into a room. But when you have it, everything changes. It's called peace. And once you taste it, real peace, you'll never again trade it for chaos, attention, or approval. Yet too many women hand it away daily, not knowing its true value. They exchange their calm for drama, their clarity for confusion, their stillness for someone else's storm. They let loud people, messy energies, and emotional manipulators rent space in their mind for free. And what's worse is that they begin to believe that chaos is normal, that anxiety is just part of being strong, that rest is a luxury instead of a right. But the truth is, peace isn't passive. Peace is a decision. We are living in a world that profits from your restlessness, a world that encourages overthinking, constant comparison, digital noise, and a never-ending race for more. And in that noise, it becomes easy to mistake silence for emptiness. But silence, true intentional silence, is the sound of your soul realigning. It's where you meet yourself without interference. Peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the ability to remain centered despite them. It's the strength to walk away from a toxic conversation without needing the last word. It's the courage to decline an invitation without guilt. It's the wisdom to say, "This doesn't deserve my energy," and mean it. And yes, it will challenge you. Protecting your peace means you will have to disappoint some people. You will have to walk away from the cycles that once felt familiar. You will have to stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. It may look like avoiding drama, but it's actually deep self-respect. It may look like solitude, but it's actually divine protection. You're not isolating, you're preserving. Because when your nervous system is calm, your decisions improve. Your creativity flows, your spirit breathes. You begin to operate from intention rather than reaction. You begin to respond to life instead of being tossed around by it. But peace doesn't just happen, it is cultivated, it is defended, and sometimes it is fought for. It means setting boundaries so strong that even your past can't cross them. It means limiting access to people who drain you, no matter how long they've been around. It means unfollowing, disconnecting, deleting, and detaching when your peace is at stake. If you're constantly explaining, fixing, rescuing, or pleasing, you're not free. If your worth is tied to someone's approval or your joy depends on someone's attention, you're not at peace. You're performing, you're surviving, and you deserve better. Peace is also learning to trust the timing of your life, to breathe even when the plan is unclear, to release control, let go of outcomes, and stop chasing people who were never meant to stay. You learn to bless closed doors. You learn to rest in the discomfort of not knowing. And in that rest, something beautiful happens. You stop trying to be everywhere, fix everything, prove anything. You stop leaking energy into people and places that have already shown you they're not safe. So let the phone ring, let the message sit unread, let the opinions remain unchallenged. You don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You don't have to stay in places that make your heart heavy just to prove you're loyal. Protecting your peace means knowing what disturbs it and then choosing yourself anyway. Means valuing your inner world so deeply that the external world no longer has the power to shake it. And now that you've reclaimed your intuition, your standards, your voice, your identity, and your peace, it's time to bring it all together. And so to every woman listening, know this: you are not here to be tolerated, managed, silenced, or reshaped into someone else's comfort zone. You are here to live fully and fiercely, rooted in the sacred principles that protect your essence. Your intuition is your compass, your standards are your shield, your voice is your power, your identity is your home. Do not trade any of them, not for love, not for validation, not even for fleeting moments of belonging. Because once you begin to honor what is sacred within you, the world no longer defines you, you define yourself. You do not have to chase who you already are, just return, sit quietly, listen deeply, remember the woman before the world told her who to be, As the Buddhist teaching says, start today, not by moving, but by sitting still and seeing what remains. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. You are not alone in this awakening. The strength you seek is already within you, and the peace you desire is waiting for your permission to arrive. I honor the fire in your voice, the grace in your truth, and the courage it takes to choose yourself. Until we meet again, walk gently, live wisely, and protect what is sacred.